Okay. Okay, Gemara. So yesterday we discussed that if a Talmud Chacham comes up with a chiddush, don't jump on him. Give him a break. Give him a break. Accept it as because what happened is they saw that Reb Meir ate. Reb Meir ate from the Ale Yerek. He ate vegetables or the leaves of vegetables in Beishan. And up until then, they thought that Beishan was a place where things were mechuyev in Trumas and Meisers. And by him eating it, he demonstrated that it wasn't mechuyev in Trumas and Meisers. And therefore, people jumped on him. What you're going to now be mat or something that for generations has been also. And he said, he brought a raya from the Novi where it mentions that Chizkiyo was mevatled in the chash and the choshes. If it was avodah zarah, why wasn't it done until that point? Because everyone has his opportunity to make his mark on the world, and this was Reb Meir's opportunity to make his mark on the world. What is our mark going to be on the world? We should leave a good mark on the world. Zog the Gemara weiter. Maskif lo Rav Yehuda. Maskif lo Rav Yehuda, Borei de Rab Shimon ben Pasi. Today's going to be a Shmak Gad to Gemara. Umi Ika Leman de Omar, the Beishan Lav Me Eretz Yisrael. Can you possibly hold that Beishan is not Eretz Yisrael, or Meir, by eating the pears, by eating the Yerokos of Beishan, was declaring that it wasn't part of Eretz Yisrael? But everybody holds that it is part of Eretz Yisrael. Vaksiv, it says in the Pasuk, V'lei Harish Menashe did not clear out the lands of Eretz Yisrael from Goyim. Es Beishan, Ves B'Neisel, Ves Tanoch, Ves B'Neisel. So you clearly see that the Novi is telling us that Beishan and its surrounding areas and its suburbs were part of Eretz Yisrael, and there was a taina that Menashe, Shevet Menashe, didn't push them out. So clearly, it's the Torah declaring that this is part of Eretz Yisrael. Zok the Gemara, if you ask such a kasha, ishtamitze ha do Amar Rab Shimon ben Yokim mishum Rabbi Elazar ben Bedas she'amar mishum Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua. You forgot this halacha. Harbe krochim kivshum oile mitzrayim. There were many cities that were part of Eretz Yisrael during the first entry to Eretz Yisrael by the Eden. V'lekivshum oile bavel. Yet, after they were sent out into Golus, and those lands lost their Kedusha, when the Oile Bavel came back, they did not reestablish several of the lands, Harbe, many of the lands that were part of Eretz Yisrael during the first period of time that Klal Yisrael was in Eretz Yisrael, were no longer included as part of Eretz Yisrael in the second time. V'kasavar, and he also holds Kedusha Rishono Kitcha L'Shaita V'lo Kitcha L'Asad Lavai. The first Kedusha, meaning when Moshe Rabbeinu or when Yeshua entered with Klal Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael, that Kedusha only lasted as long as they were there in Eretz Yisrael. Once they were expelled from Eretz Yisrael, after the Churban Bayis, the Kedusha completely dissipated. And when they came back, even though the second Kedusha we're learning is Kitchelos and Lavoi, but when they came back, they were not Mekadosh many lands. Why would they contract their borders? Why would they not be Mekadosh the same set of lands that were Mekadosh the first time around? V'nichum kadesh yismachu aleim aniyim b'shvius. They didn't want those lands to have a Kedusha Yisrael. Why? Because on the Shemitah year, the Aniyim have nothing to eat. They're starving. They don't have stored up. So if we make some lands not be part of Kedusha Yisrael, then those lands, whoever owns them, will continue to work them, and there'll be leket, shikha, and peya available to Aniyim from those lands. So they wanted to make sure that those lands would not have Kedusha. Zokt. Yeah, I guess that only, but it's only in Eretz Yisrael. We don't have Shemitah over here. So you want to know, did they have a right not to take those lands? I'm sure everything was Alpina Vua. because even when they went back, it was Ezra and Nehemiah, they were Nevi'im. So let's see Rashi. Habi krachim kivshu oilam mitzrayim v'kitchum b'kedushas haaretz, but v'lo kivshum v'lo lakachem b'shniya the second time. Ulakach v'lo kivshum. You know why they didn't? Tekashavri hoyel v'hutru. Once they became mutter, because the original kedusha was released, let them stay. Let them stay, not part of Eretz. The kedusha rishayna batla. The chikitcha Yeshua, when Yeshua was originally mekadosh Eretz Yisrael, l'shayta kitcha. He did not have in Zinin to be Mekadesh the land only up until the Golus, but not after Nebuchadnezzar would exile Klal Yisrael. Why did they not want to allow the Kedusha to return to those lands? Kedei sheyeh muter lachroish v'lizroya sham b'shviyas she'ein heges b'chutz la'aretz, so that they would be able to use those lands during the Shemitah. V'yisbechu aleim aniyim lito eleket shikha upeya u'maiser oni. Ubeishan mehenoisa. Beishan was from those lands that were not reestablished by the second entry into Eretz Yisrael. V'oishan shekitchu hein loy batlu b'chorban sheni. Whichever lands were niskadosh by the second Aliyah La'eretz, that those remain kadosh forever. Yerusha Rishayna Ushniya Yesh Lahem. There are two Yerushas. How could you have two Yerushas? Once you Yarshin it, it's yours permanently. The Teretz is Shabbat Yerusha Rishayna V'Nikra Shniya Yerusha. Alva Yerusha Shlishis Ein Lahem. There'll never be a third Yerusha because you can't Yarshin what you already have. So Shniya Lepaska. Hilchach b'mei Rebbe nohagu iser ba'aretz. That's why even in the days of Rebbe in Eretz Yisrael, they did have all of the halachas of trumas and maasros, but not in chutz la'aretz. I think there was a process. I wish I knew my novi properly. Because I believe we even learned. I don't know if it's relevant, but I think it's in which Masechta is it where it talks about to when you mekadosh ear the process. There's a whole process of person how you mekadosh things. Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah leRabbi Zera. Rabbi Yirmiyah told Rabbi Zera, I don't understand what the whole problem is. Rabbi Meir didn't eat a vegetable; he ate a leaf. For Rabbi Meir Allah ba'alma hu da'achel, and Zok Rashi dachilas arahi. If you're just picking a leaf off a tree and you didn't harvest yet, well, that's achilas arai. Even by regular wheat, you're allowed to do that. Vishari, even ba'aretz. Zok Gemara, it wasn't just a regular leaf; it was harvested. Amar le me'aguda achle. He took a leaf, but didn't pick it off a plant. It was already in a bundle of vegetables. He took it out of a bundle. And Rashi says, "Dimi sheneged osur lechol arai." That's the gemar malacha. Once it's bundled. V'tana we learned yerek hanegat, a yerek that's normally bundled, mishiegat. When is the gemar malacha where it now becomes osur to eat, even arai? Once you bundle it. Freik the gemara v'dama lavadate. Maybe he ate it and he didn't even realize that it wasn't trumas ma'asos. Maybe he wasn't focused. Rashi is shokach Reb Meir below Yisrael. Maybe he just forgot to take ma'aser. He wasn't focusing. How could you build the whole psak that forever and ever Beis Sham is not part of Eretz Yisrael because of one maybe mindless mistake? Zok to Gemara, that's not an option. Hashto behemton shel tzadikkim eina kadosh baruch hu mevi takala al yodan tzadikkim atzman loy kol shekain. So this is the underlying theme that we've been having. There's this concept that a tzaddik will not be nichshal even by mistake in eating something that he wasn't supposed to. Frag to Gemara, how do you know he didn't take meiser? V'dilma iser aleim mimakam acher. Yes, when he took that bundle, you didn't see him being mafish trumas and meisers. But he could have said, I have a whole bunch of bundles in my garage. One of the bundles in my garage should be meiser and truma keneged what I'm eating over here. Zok to Gemara, that's not possible because the halacha is you're not allowed to take truma from a bundle that you have in Toronto on product that you have in Montreal. Why? because where are you standing? Let's say I'm standing in Montreal and I want to eat my produce. So I'm going to say I'm going to eat this produce here, but the trumas and maishos for it I'm going to be mafresh from my grain that I have in Toronto. What if that's spoiled? What if it got stolen? You're not there. You don't know. So you're taking a risk that you might be making truma on something that you can't, and vice versa. If you're standing where the truma is, what if something happened to the item that you want to be mafresh? So it's not going to work. Therefore, a chaver would never do something like that. So surely Rav Meir would not have done that. Amar lei chazi man gaver. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped. V'dilma nosan einov b'tzadzeh v'achal b'tzaracher. There's another thing that you could do. You don't, without physically being mafresh, you could take this bundle of vegetables and you could say, I want to eat from the right side of this bundle because I have in zinin that the trumas and maishos are going to be on the other side of the bundle, and I eat and I leave over that last bit that I, in my mind, designated as trumas and maishos. Omer lei. So he said, you're asking all these nudik kashas. Yeah, maybe it's possible. But who told you this story? Who gave us the witness to prove that Beishan is mutter because of Reb Meir? It was Rabbi Yeshua ben Zoris. He was the one who related the story. Zokt the Gemara, Amar Lei, he told him, so Reb Zeir told Reb Meir, Chazi man gaver rabba kamasarale. You think some loser is telling us this edus about Reb Meir? It's Rabbi Yeshua ben Zoris. He knows what he's talking about. Don't worry. If he extracted this information from what he saw from Meir, you know that there was no situation where he could have been misakin it. Because otherwise you're making Rabbi Yeshua's edus inaccurate. And he knows what he's talking about. You could rely on him. That's by Bikurim. Yeah. You're allowed to look with you could look with that and you could be mafresh. Right. We even have a Gemara that says, what if you was right before Erev Shabbos and you have a barrel of wine that's tevel? You could say, whatever I'm going to take out of the barrel on Sunday, because you're not allowed to physically be mafresh on Shabbos, whatever I take out of the barrel on Sunday should be trumas and maishros. And then you can use the barrel, and then whatever's left over. It's a shiloh of Yehuda Breyer. There's a discussion about it, but if not for the problem of Breyer, that's a valid way of being mafresh trumas. So, Frank the Gemara, you've been talking for the last 3 days about this idea of behemdim shel tzadikkim. What are you talking about? What behemdim shel tzadikkim? My behemdim shel tzadikkim. So now we have a fascinating story. He was on an emergency mission to do pidyon shvuim. And Pagabei beginoi nahara. He hit the river Ginoi, and he was unable to cross it. Amarle, he told him, Ginoi chaloik li meimech. River split for me, the Everbach, so that I could walk through you on dry land. Amarle, the river responded to him, Ata hoilech lasas with soid koinach. Why are you in a rush to go somewhere? Because you want to do a mitzvah of pidyon shvuim. Guess what? I also have a mitzvah. I'm going to do what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants of me, meaning to flow this way. That's what my Ratzon is. Rashi is calling the cholim hoichen alayam b'gzer shemelach. Hashem was gozer that all rivers should flow down into the ocean. So why should I listen? You. Even if you get to your destination, you're not sure you'll succeed in redeeming this prisoner. But my flowing definitely is accomplishing what is demanded upon me by the Rebbeinu Shalom. Now, were Pinchas Meir talking to a river? Like what? If David Zolti was on, he would say, well, what does this mean, talking to a river? What's Pashup Pshat? So if we look at the bottom Tosfos, Amar Lei, Shema zokt Tosfos, Sar shel yam heishav lokach. Maybe it wasn't the river talking, although I'm sure in his video, in Stefanski's video, I'm sure he could use AI to make the river talk. But it was the Sar shel yam, Inami, and this would be David Zolti's pshat. Rav Pinchas hoyu mechashiv b'liboy shelakach hoyu maniach milach likloi. this was dialogue that Pinchas Ben Yair had in his head. What the river is probably saying is, why should I split for you? I'm doing Ratzon Hashem. וכאין זה צריך לפרש בפרק כמה דמסכת עבודה זרה, גבי רבי אליעזר בן דרדיה, דאמר שמיים ביקשו לרחם, daven for me shemayim. What do you mean shemayim? Who's he talking to? So could be it's just a playing of this conversation in the mind of Rav Pinchas Ben Yair, or it could be there was actually a malach there. So Rav Pinchas Ben Yair says, you know what? I was nice, I was friendly, I asked nicely. Now I'm playing hardball. If you don't split, I'm going to make a gzera, you should dry out. So I'm a little bit confused. If you can make a gzera that is dry out, why did you say split? Or if you don't split, I'll be going you should split. So I guess I don't know how I don't know how the supernatural powers of these tzaddikim worked, but this is what happened. So Chalak said, okay, I'll do it. And he split. Now that it's split and he's going through, Havahu Gavra Davadori Chiti Lepischa. There was somebody who was schlepping wheat with which he was going to make matzahs. Omerlei, so the gentleman said, so Pinchas Ben Yair said, Chaloik lei nami lahai. I would like you to split for this gentleman as well, the b'mitzvah osik, because he's involved in doing a mitzvah. As Rashi says, "Ushmartem es amatzos," the metchilas techina ba'arkada boishim l'shem matzah. So chalakle. So the river wasn't starting up with Pinchas Yair. He split again. But then havahu taya, there was a simple Arab merchant, the Lova Bahadayu, that was accompanying them on their trip. Omar lei, Pinchas Ben Yair told the river, chaloik lei nami lahai. I want you to split for him. He's not going to do a mitzvah. Is this what Jews do? They abandon people who are accompanying them to escort them. What are we, second-class citizens? So therefore, chalak lei, the river split for the goy as well. I'm not sure if I'm not sure what happened over here. Were they all going to cross together and he just had to make sure to stay open till they get out, or it could be when he went through, they were afraid to go because they didn't know if he's going to make it. And once he got across, you know what? I'll go too. I'm not sure exactly how this happened, but that's a good point. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Kamen Nofish Gavra. Wow, Rav Pinchas Ben Yair is even greater. Mi Moshe v'Shitn Ribvan. He was even greater than Moshe and the 600,000 Yidden. Dilohosam by the Kriyas Yamsuf of Klal Yisrael, Chad Zimna. There was only one Kriyas Yamsuf. V'hachat Tlas Zimna. Here the river split 3 times, so it must have been one after the other. V'dilma hachanami Chad Zimna. Frank the Gemara like Dovi, who said maybe also it was split just once for all 3 of them. So the Gemara seems to remain with that. Ela Moshe v'Shitn Rabban. It was at least like Moshe. This Rav Pinchas Ben Yair had the same koyach as Moshe and all of Klal Yisrael, because it split and it also allowed the goy and the other yid to stay open. So he got to this hotel for the evening on his travels, and he said, "Boy, did I have a hard day! You won't believe what I had today. I had to split a river." So Romelei Sari Lachamri. So they put out barley for the chamor of Rav Pinchas Ben Yair to eat. Lo yochal. The chamor refused to eat. Kaftinu. They thought maybe the chamor of Pinchas Ben Yair was used to finer grain, so they beat it to which would Rashi in a sifter to take out some of the foreign particles, and they gave a higher grade of feed to the chamor. Lo yachal, they still didn't eat. Nukrinu, they literally picked out all of the different stones and psoyos to really make it really clean feed. Still lo yachal. And they were wondering, the animal keepers of this hotel was wondering, what's the deal with your chamor, Rav Pinchas Ben Yair? Amalu, Rav Pinchas Ben Yair asked, Dilma loy ma'asrin. Is it possible that maybe the animal feed you didn't take ma'aser from it? So they said, maybe, I don't know. So Ashrina, they took ma'aser v'achol, and suddenly the animal ate. Omar, For Pinchas ben Yair told the hotel keeper, "How dare you? And niyazu hayleches lasas v'tzoin koina. This chamor is on an urgent mission. This poor chamor that relies on us to feed it is running to do a mission to redeem a yid. V'atem achilim nois tefillim, and you have the chutzpah to feed a tevel. Fragt chamor umi mechayva, just to feed an animal. Do you have to be mafresh? Trumas and Maisris, as Rashi says, umi mechayva Michael behema hanilkach me'ama oretz kama klum gozerlov b'shum demai. This fellow was an amoritz, so it's demai. Do you have to be mafresh trumas and Maisris from demai? V'afa pisha ilu vaday lo isru hayu mechayiv la'aser al sofek. Even though I'm sorry, even though if it would have been known beferish that there was no ma'aser taken, you have to be ma'aser. But at this point in time, it was the mai. It was unclear. So if it's the mai, al sofik mi aloy gozer. You would not have had to take trumas and ma'asers from sofik, meaning from the grain of an amoritz. Going back into the Mishnah, but none we learned, halakech lezera, if you're buying just to plant, not to consume, ulabehema, or to feed your animal, the kemach la'oiros, and flour they would use to work hides, to process hides, the shemen laner, the shemen losach boy sakelim, all of these are non-edible purposes. Potter medmai, there's no chiv demai, so why wouldn't the animal have eaten? It was demai, and demai you're allowed to eat, a behemoth is allowed to eat demai. Now I'm going back into Rashi. The Tanana loikeach me'ama oretz peris mina shuk lezera ulebehema aval pi shezera umachal behema bechlal shar tfua hein v'chayovim b'maisrus. Even though they are mochiv b'maisrus, but like gozer alei mishum demai. The chachamim were not gozer on demai. The mistama roiv amaya oretz ma'asron hein. It's roiv amayos are really ma'aser. It's only a miyat a chumrah. V'leichmir chachamim al demai kolkach. So therefore, what was the big deal? The behemoth could have just have eaten because it was classified as demai. So tomorrow, hasam ha'itmar Allah amar b'yochanan lo shanu el shalakon mitchila lebehemoth. If all of this grain was acquired expressly for the purpose of animal feed, yes, there's no gzera demai. But what if you bought a whole bunch and you were planning to use some of it for animal feed, but some of it you're going to eat? So forget if you bought some to use in your household. I misspoke. If you bought some to use in your household, and then your animal needed food, so you took some of your household barley, they're chayiv la'aser. And maybe that was the case over here. V'atanya bin nichusa, so this is a raya. Halakech peres mina shuk la'achila. V'nimlach alein lebehema, hareza lo yitein lefnei behemtoi, v'loi v'fnei behemes chaverei. Elam kein iser, unless you took meiser. Okay, Gavalti. Now, on Rav Pinchas ben Yair's way to do this pigeon shvuyim, he encountered this inn, but he also encountered in that city, Rebbe was there, and the Rebbe was so excited to come out and meet Rav Pinchas ben Yair. Shomar Rebbe nafak lapeh, he went to greet him. Amarla, he said, Ritzayncha, please, if that should be your will, sa'oidetzli, come to me for lunch. Come eat by me. I would hope that you would come join me for lunch. Amar Lohein, Rav Pinchas ben Yair says, I would come. So Havu Panel for Rav Meir. So Rebbe got so excited. It was known that Rav Pinchas ben Yair would never be mechaneh from somebody else. He wouldn't eat from other people. Yet he was willing to eat by Rebbe. That was a huge, huge, huge honor. Amar Loi, so Rav Pinchas ben Yair told him, I don't know why you're so excited. Keduma ata, you think shemudur hano mi Yisrael ani. You think that I made a neder not to have any hano from Klal Yisrael, but that's not true. Yisrael kadoshim him. So Rashi v'ru'uin lehanis men. Fakert, it would be an honor for me to eat from Klal Yisrael. The problem is, I don't know if they really have or if they really want. Yesh roitzav einloi. There are those who want, but they don't have. So they're inviting me to their house, and they can't even afford to feed me. I'm eating the food out of their mouths. Then there are those who have, and they're all nice. They come eat by me, hoping that I won't take them up on it. And I don't want to do that, because don't eat from the bread of a ra'ayin. Valtisu lematamoisov, and don't turn to the delicious delicacies that he might serve you. Kikamoi shar benavshoi kenhu. It's like someone literally slicing a gateway open in someone's stomach. He feels like you're literally cutting him open. That's Rashi's first shot. Rashi's second shot is sour is a lotion bitter. It leaves a very, very bitter taste in his mouth that you're coming to eat by him. Come, eat by me. I'd love to have you. We have a beautiful suda prepared. But inside his heart, you know your host. But his heart is not with you. He's saying, why is he eating so much of my food? The Ataroitza, but you want, Dr. Rabbi, you taka want, I know you want from the core of your heart, it's completely sincere, v'yeshlach, and I know that you can afford to feed me, and therefore there won't be a problem of al telachem lechem rayin. Mia, the problem is, right now I'm in a rush. Hashtu misarhivna, I am in a rush, loshin bahola, mumihiris, kloimer tzarech lamayr v'leilech l'dvar mitzvah, vein penai l'side. I have no time to dine. The b'milsa the mitzvah katarachna. I'm busy with a mitzvah. Ki adarna, on my way back from this trip, asina, I will come. Ailon lagabach. I'll come up to you and we'll have lunch then. Ki also, Isrami, when he got back, as he said, he came to stop by at Rebbe's house. Olbahu pischa, he went through an entrance. Which entrance? An entrance that happened to have a kaiman beikud naisa chavarta. There were these very wild and dangerous white donkeys that belonged to Rebbe's administration. Omar, Rav Pinchas ben Yair said, Malach HaMavis b'veisei shalzeh. The Malach HaMavis, because there's a grave danger, there's a grave hazard in this house. And Rashi says, because these donkeys, shemaka v'shuv eina maka chaya. We're going to see in the Gemara that if you get kicked by this donkey, you'll never heal. So there's a hazard, there's a public hazard. You maintain, Rebbe, in your household, a public hazard. I don't eat by people who have public hazards by them. Shama Rebbe heard this Novak Lapei, he ran out to him and he said, Amar Lei, I'll sell them, don't worry. Amar Lei, who are you going to sell to? To another Yid? You're not allowed to sell to another Yid. So Rebbe said, okay, mifarakna lahu. I'll just throw them away into the forest. I'll be mafka them. Zokra Pechas B'yor, that's even worse. Mavshish Azeka. So you're going to let them run wild? They're even more dangerous. A karnalu. How about if I chop off the bottom of their hoofs, that although they'll be able to continue walking, but they will lose their potency as a danger? So Rav Pinchas ben Yair says, you can chop a guy up, and you chop a donkey up, iko tar balachayim. So Rebbe said, okay, I'll kill them. Katilna, I'll put them down. So Rav Pinchas ben Yair said, iko bal tashchis. In the meantime, Havakam Beituva. Rebbe was begging Rav Pinchas ben Yair, please come to my house. And Hashem made a nes, Gova Tur Beinayu. Right in between Rebbe and Rav Pinchas ben Yair, a big mountain just sprouted up from nowhere. In other words, because Hashem was being Mekayim, Rav Pinchas ben Yair's will not to eat by Rebbe. So Bocha Rebbe cried that he lost an opportunity that was almost in his fingertips. V'yamar, and he said, Ma b'chayein kach, madich in the lives of tzaddikim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu protects them from being where they don't want to be, meaning he didn't want to really eat by me. So Hashem made it that he shouldn't have to. Surely when they die, they'll be protected from things. Rashi says, "B'chayein shel tzaddikim kach noisin HaKadosh Baruch Hu liboy al taivosim." Hashem makes it happen what they want. Shaloi lahavir daitam, not to overrule what they wanted. Shegorem adovar shenichnas bepesach hapredes. So it's not just post finding about the predes. The mountain grew, so Rav Pinchas ben Yair shouldn't have to eat there. Really, deep down inside, Rav Pinchas ben Yair never wanted to eat by Rebbe, because Taka was Mudim Yisrael. Taka didn't want to eat from Klal Yisrael, so Hashem made that the door that he should show up at, Punk should have these predes there at that time. So I totally read it wrong. I read that the mountain growing was the nace. No, the fact that the prejudice showed up was the nace, and I guess the reason why that's the main point is because when there's pradas there that are a public hazard, that's a valid reason why Pinchas ben Yair shouldn't eat there. But even though Pinchas ben Yair didn't have a valid reason before, he just preferred not to eat there, even for a preference of Pinchas ben Yair, did HaKadosh Baruch Hu make a nace. Where do you see that they're greater when they're not alive anymore? Zok the Gemara as follows: the Omer Rab Chama Bar Chanina, Gedolim Tzadikkim b'misoson yoyser mi b'chayein. How do you see that? Shenemar v'hiim kovrim ish. They were burying a bad guy. It was a time of war, and there's a corpse there, and they were in the middle of burying him. And what happened was, V'hinei ro es hagadut. They saw an army coming, an enemy army, so they had to split out of there quickly. So there was an open grave there, and they just threw him into the grave. V'yishlichu es ha'ish bekever Elisha. They just threw this person into a grave. He was a bad guy, and ran for their lives. It happened to have been Elisha's kever. I don't know why it was open. V'yelech v'yiga ha'ish ba'atzmos Elisha, and the body. I don't know how, unless it's a nace that Hashem made the body move and touch the bones of Elisha. Vayechi, and the dead body came to life. Vayokam al raglov, and was standing on its feet. So here you see a nace. Exactly what we see from the nace is going to be a discussion. But let's just learn the next couple of lines of the Gemara. Amalei Pabla Abaye, who said this is Elisha's nace? V'dilma l'kiyumi be'berchasa de'Elio. Maybe this is the koich of Eliyahu Novi, because Eliyahu Novi told Elisha when he died that you're going to have twice the koich as I did, and Eliyahu was mechayim mesim once. Elisha would have had to do it twice, and this is the only second occurrence. So maybe this isn't Elisha's chus, it's Eliyahu's chus. Dichsiv v'hina pishnayim beruchacha Eli. Omer lei. So he answered back, it can't be an Eliyahu's chus. Because Iyachi Hainu Detanya al Raglov Omad Uleves Elehalach. This guy didn't have a real Tchis Mesim. He didn't get up and go home. He just got up so he can move away from Elisha's kever, so Elisha shouldn't have to be buried with this lowlife. Ella b'ma'akayim. So it's in Uleves Elehalach. If it was Eliyahu, he would have had a permanent. If this was because of Eliyahu's bracha of Elisha's Tchias HaMesim, this guy would have lived permanently. He wouldn't have just lived long enough to move over. Ela b'ma'ikayim. So where was the second occurrence of the nevuah of Eliyahu b'kuyim? Kedam Rabbi Yochanan, Sheripa Tzeras Naman Shishkula Kames. What did Elisha do? He was merapah the teras of Naaman, and the Mitzvah Shakal Kames. Shenemar, and Miriam said, Al no tehi Kames. Okay, so now let's just see what exactly is the limud that Gdolim Tzadikkim b'misos and Yosy b'chayim. Zok Rashi, Vayiga ish batzomais Elisha v'chi ve'ilu b'chayav, when Elisha was alive, kisharotza lahachiyos ben ashunamis, when he wanted to make Tchis HaMesim, he couldn't just touch him. Hutzrach losim piv al piv ve'einav al einav l'vakish rachim. Elisha had to literally climb on the body and put his eyes on his eyes and his face on his face and daven. Took a lot more effort. But when he died, it was effortless. And eye to eye. So Toshes doesn't like Rashi's pshat. So Toshes says, Gedolim tzadikim b'misas and Yosy b'chayim pirish b'kundrus the dorish b'masha hechya b'negia ba'alma. Vayiga vayechi. Because of Toshes. If that's the case, my parch v'dilma l'kiyumi b'chasad Eliyahu. A second later, the Gemara asked, maybe the Tchis HaMesim was only because of Eliyahu. But the fact that it came so easy, that's the raya. So even if it was because of Eliyahu's bracha, with Eliyahu's bracha, it should have required more effort. But the fact that it came so easy shows that Elisha is greater. So therefore, I don't like that pshat. Veneer is a much simpler pshat. The nafkale, you like this pshat. The nafkale mimasha b'chayit tzadikim noigim em kamer rishoyim v'yoshim etlam. Every rav, every leader, every nudnik hacks him a child, can drive him crazy, and the poor rav can't get potter from these mishagoyim. But Visham, when he died, all those nudniks who bothered him his whole life couldn't get near him when he died. Gewaltig. So therefore, we see that Gedolim Tzadikkim b'misasan. I'm Rabbi Shimon Levi. Lama nikra shmon yemim. Why are these wild donkeys referred to as yemim? She'emasam utelas olabrius. Because people are terrified of them. Don't Rabbi Chanina miyomai in all my days. He must have been a doctor or shtickle. Lo she'elni adam al makas prayed the levana v'chaya. Nobody ever asked me to help them heal the makkah of such a donkey, and he survived. That's not true. We see they survive. He didn't mean survive. He meant completely heal. I never saw someone who got injured from such a donkey to completely heal. We do see that white donkeys injure people and they get healed. I'm not talking about a regular white donkey. I'm talking about a black donkey that just has white feet. Those donkeys are very potent, and if they kick you, you're never going to get better. Ein oid movadai. The Gemara is now getting into a new subject of ein oid movadai. Amrab Chanina, va'afilu kshafim. Even kshafim are from Hashem. There's nothing that exists in the world that's not the doing of Hashem. Even kishif is Hashem's doing. There was a woman who wanted to cast a spell on Reb Chanina, and the way they would do it was to take earth from the steps that he walked on, and somehow that was used in the kishif. The story is only relevant because we're talking about Reb Chanina here. Amr Allah, he said, Shkuli, no problem, you don't have to hide and try to take and sneak it when I'm not looking. Come, goes into hide. Take as much earth as you want. You know why? I'm not afraid of you. You know why? Your spell won't work because Einod Mavadik says. I'm not afraid. Frank Demar Kishiv does have a way of circumventing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lama Nikrish Monk Shofim Shemakishin Pamal Yishamala. They really weakened the Pamal Yishamala. It seems like it's an opposing force, not that it's coming from the Rabban Yisraelim. Zok to Gemara Shiny Rab Chanina de Nefishas Chusei. Someone on Rab Chanina's level, he had such chusim that the Kishiv wouldn't have an impact on him. A person won't even bang his finger, you won't even stub your toe, unless it was gepaskin and shemayim, for something such a simple little thing to occur. All the steps of a person are from Hashem, is where their base is. The Adam Ayovan Darkly, a person doesn't even understand. Amar Belozer, Dam Nikov, if you bleed from banging your finger, it's mechaper on your veers, kedam oila, like the dam of a carbon. If someone hurts his finger, he shouldn't be all frustrated. He should think of the benefit that he had. It's as if he brought a carbon. Amarova, that's only the goydel yamin. That's only on the thumb of his right hand. Uvanik of sheni. It has to be a wound that was healing and it got banged again. That hurts. It's banging an existing wound. That's very painful. But who the ka'azul lidvar mitzvah, and that's also only if it occurs while he's going lidvar mitzvah. So if you're hitchhiking, if you have an injured thumb and you're hitchhiking to do a mitzvah and a car hits it, then you know it's like as if you brought a carbon oil. We have to wait for the video of Stavansky. Maybe I'll get a job in the production department. Amr Alav al Rapiches Ben Yar miyam of his whole life. Loy betza al pruso she'ena shaloi. He never ate food that wasn't his. He never took a handout. Umiyom she'omer al daito. And as soon as he had enough seichel to be independent, loy nehenim esudas ovav. He didn't even take from his father. He was completely independent. Okay, Baruch Hashem. We should be zoicher at our age to be completely independent. Yes, he's right near Nussi. Yeah, Nussi's buried near him because Nussi spent a lot of money to fix over his caver. When Nussi was not well, his Rebbe told him, fix up the caver of a big gadol. So Nussi spent a lot of money, and they fixed up the whole caver of Pichas Piora, and they made it look nice. And he decided he wanted to be buried right near him. I believe that this I have to turn off the recording for. I believe that